Welcome to Life Activated. I'm Mari Roberts, corporate gal gone rad energy healer and psychic guide. The intention of this podcast is to be a supportive space that empowers you to live your passions now, encouraging you to be uniquely you and to trust your intuition. On this podcast, you're going to hear from guests who are just like you. The difference is they figured out how to bring their passions into their life. To find out more, please visit me at marirobertslife.com. Hello and welcome. We are back to the Life Activated podcast. I am telling you, today's guest is I don't even know where to begin. Today's guest is like total sassafras. We met on Instagram and I'm pretty sure I DM'd her and then we became friends on Instagram.
How
And
goes, yeah.
because I am that person who, if I like you or there's something, I will start a conversation with you. So today's guest is Jasmine Kenna. I am so happy you are here. I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, and when you introduce yourself, if you could, share the woo, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction. I like to be a sassafras. I feel like I'm getting sassier as I get a little bit older, which is nice.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm a manifesting generator, which means for all of you out there that know human design, I do a lot of things. So I'm on Instagram and I do some coaching, mindset coaching. I have a couple of different podcasts with some lovely collaborators. What else do I do? Subliminal messages,
Yes.
my subliminal audios, which is my most favorite thing. And really all I'm doing right now, like I'm not really doing human design readings anymore. And I have a full-time job where I'm a digital media and marketer for a company here in my town. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. I'm a project manager. It's like actually really fun and exciting. So I do a lot of things. I'm also a mother to 3 daughters.
Yeah. It's amazing. We're going to take a step back, first of all.
Okay.
So you're a manifesting generator. What
I
is your
am.
like sign? What are you?
Oh, geez. I totally forgot. I'm a Pisces,
Ooh.
Pisces sun, Scorpio moon, Gemini rising.
Oh, dang.
So I don't have any earth in my whole chart. I'm very watery and airy and fiery.
That's so interesting. I have no water in my chart.
Really? That's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Well, I think it's wild you have no earth.
Well, so my people do think that's wild. I have surrounded myself with earth signs. So it's like they're my grounding. They're my grounding people. I need it.
Interesting.
And I think I'm a little bit less, no shade to Pisces with Scorpio moons, but I think I'm a little less emotionally fluid or, highs and lows because I have a Gemini rising. So I'm kind
Mhm,
of buoyant, like
mhm.
I can kind of get down in those depths and be a little bit like sometimes dramatic, sometimes suspicious. I can have all of those like Scorpio emotional things with my moon, but my Gemini rising usually like helps me be sunny side up.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes, great.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I should probably find more people with water in my life. Cause yeah, I have no water in my whole entire chart.
Yeah, you need a little bit. The watery folks are dreamy and soft places to land. I find that.
Yeah.
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 And I think that's why my earth signs love me. But my
Yeah.
house, interestingly, I have 3 daughters. So there are 4 women here and we are all of the elements. So we are, we have a Pisces, an Aries, a Capricorn, and a Gemini.
That's really cool. So it's a
Hmm.
real true like balance. I am feeling a lot of energy already. So this is
Are
going to
you?
be a really good
Okay,
conversation.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Ooh, feeling the
You're
energy. If you see me like moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a manifesting generator as well, right?
I'm a generator.
Oh,
I'm an
you're a
emotional generator.
generator.
I'm a 6'2" emotional generator.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So that might be why I think as an MG, I can kind of, I am pretty zingy. I'm
Mm,
pretty, yeah.
mm, maybe, I don't know. The other thing that I thought was interesting when you introduced yourself when we first met, were just talking about subliminals, and I think I
Mhm.
reached out to you and I was like, "Are you offering those? I wanna know more about these subliminals. I
I think
want a
you were my first
subliminal."
client.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think you were my first client, my first custom subliminal client.
Get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I think you were.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Hello? No way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh my god, you're welcome.
You take a chance on me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I just was like, "I want one of those."
Mhm. Yeah, we had a great talk. I remember it. And I'm not even really doing customs anymore. I mean, I will if somebody really wants one, but
Yeah.
I'm like in this stage of life where I'm like, I don't really want to work with people one on one
Mhm,
anymore
mhm,
because I'm busy and I have a lot going on and it's hard to like give the energy if you don't have it to give. I mean, I know
mhm.
that sounds probably cliched. People always say
No.
that like pour from an empty cup or a full cup or whatever. But it's kind of true. If I'm working one on one with someone, I want to be devoted to that. And I want to
Mhm.
really be focused on that because it's important work. And so now I'm just kind of creating my subliminal audio library and I'm just going to like fill it up with things that I need. And I always think that I'm the best customer because I need help with things. And then if I need it, then somebody else will need it and they can just buy
They're
it at their leisure.
they're awesome because when you had oh my god, why am I totally blanking? What was the app? Oh my god, what was the app?
Oh, spacious.
Ugh, when you guys had Spacious, I listened
Hmm.
to the subliminals all the time when I would take Maddie, our dog, for a walk. That
Yeah.
was my thing. I would pick out what I thought I needed more support with, and I would totally listen to them. They were fantastic.
Yeah. People really love them. They love
Mhm.
them so much that I just basically took them off the spacious app and now they just live on my website.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you are listening and you haven't gotten a subliminal, you haven't tried one, the invitation would be definitely get one. You will appreciate it. And what I love with Jasmine is that she has it connected to the human design
Mhm.
centers. So
Yeah.
you can read about your human design center and then sort of think about where is that area that maybe you might need support, and then buy that particular subliminal to go with that area, which
Yeah.
I liked that personally. Like if I
Yeah.
felt like I
And
needed more rooting, that was great.
exactly, and you can kind of, like, vacillate, just, kind of hop in and out. You don't
Yeah.
have to listen to them for, weeks on end, the same one. You can kind of rotate them.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So cool. Before we dive, here we go. See, this is also what happens when we are in the DMs. We just start talking about all kinds of stuff and we go all over the place. Before we dive into all of the questions I have for you, I want to make sure that I give the card message because sometimes I forget
That's okay.
because I can get so into the combo. I have been sticking with this card, and I don't know, maybe this is just gonna be the card deck of the podcast, I don't know. It's Asia to Shore, it's her Guided
Mhm.
by Spirit deck. Have you seen this deck?
I don't think I have, but if you
Oh,
show me, maybe I will.
it's beautiful. This is the full deck. It's what it looks like on the here it
Oh,
comes.
yeah, I think I have. Those are so pretty.
Yeah, and, 1, I like a card deck that doesn't have 8,000 cards, number
Mhm.
1, and then 2, I'm not showing you your card yet, but number 2, she collaborates with her husband a lot, and he is an artist, so all of the artwork is, her husband,
Oh, I love that.
and I think that's really cool,
Yeah,
and
collabs.
also, she doesn't do them on a regular they're just not available all the time, so
Mhm.
I kinda like that too, so
So then you're just, like, special editions.
yeah, so you have to pay attention to when she's announcing that they're out, and
Yeah.
then you better snap them up. Okay, so here's the card. I'm gonna share the message. The card is reflection. So I'm gonna show the card and then I'll tap into what the message is. So the card is reflection.
Oh, I love that. So pretty.
So let's just tap in. And again, this message is for you, it's for me, it's for anyone who's listening, whether you're listening when this podcast is out on the day it's released, or if you're listening at any other time, this message is timely and for you in that moment. So let's just kind of see what is happening here. Right away, I just heard reflection. It's the shift in perspective. It's like you've been doing a lot of reflection, but it's almost in a blaming of yourself reflection, And the reality is, reflection isn't about blame. Reflection is simply just that reflection. What are you learning? What are you seeing? Where are there similarities? Where are there differences? Where are you seeing yourself? What if it's not about someone else? What if it is about what you need to learn, what you need to release? Remembering it's not about blame of self or other, it's simply what it is, reflection, awareness. And then I heard, tell her to release blame, just reflect and allow for the reflection, allow for the awareness. Getting a lot of pressure right here on the side. This just like my guys are just like, woo. I get a lot of pressure in my head. Does it make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, and I can totally feel you tuned in. That was wild. Yeah, that whole thing makes sense. It's really audience very timely for my life. So, I hope it helps you as well, but I I feel like I needed that message from your guides. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, it's like I just heard release doubt in yourself as well. Again, it's just reflection and learning and releasing.
I'll take it.
hmm It's almost like the sooner that you can allow this reflection, again, without judgment or blame, the sooner that it's like I just saw, like, this is so wild. I just saw in the heart space, like a rose with petals just opening like crazy fast. You know, like how you see in like a movie, how they show like petals, like a fast pace, like
Yeah, like a
petals
time
opening.
lapse. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like the sooner you can do that, the sooner the petals can just unfold and open.
Oh,
Like the
nice.
sooner that your heart can really open. It's almost as if the heart is not as open as you perceive it to be.
Currently, yes, or in general. Yeah.
In general.
Mhm. Wow,
hmm
that's so interesting. Have you ever heard of the emotion code?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, they do a thing, or I did that with a practitioner once, and you do your heart wall.
Mhm, mhm.
What's your heart wall made of? And my heart wall was made of clear quartz, which is so interesting, right? Because I always have thought of myself as this very heart-centered, open person, and I am with my family and, but in love, romantic love, clear quartz, and it was like, 587 feet deep, just like
Mhm,
solid, but you could
mhm.
see my heart. You could see it, but you just could never get to it. I thought that that
Mm.
was really a good metaphor. So,
Yeah. But
mhm.
also something interesting about clear quartz, though. Clear quartz is an amplifier,
Ooh, that's interesting.
right? So
Mm.
if you put, like, clear quartz with something, it's an amplifier. So what if you were to consider that light within your heart, and you focused on your light within your heart and looked at that clear quartz as an amplifier to your heart?
Oh, I love that. That's a good reframe.
Mhm,
Yeah, that feels better than,
mhm.
like, an icicle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you can do that, then that can be an amplifier to you as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, and I like an immediate feedback loop, you know?
Mhm, mhm,
I love that. I love that.
mhm.
Oh, well, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm, like, warm and fuzzy now. That was great. Yeah,
That's really fun. I love that. Thank you for allowing that. I
of
appreciate
course.
that. So, I have a question that I don't know. I'm sure you've spoken about this and maybe I'm in a hole. How did you get into human design?
Oh, it's so funny. Thank you for asking me that. What was I doing? Listening, folding laundry, listening to a podcast. And I can't even remember. I know it was Jenna Zoe. And maybe she was, I don't, do you remember Lacey Phillips?
Oh, yeah.
That was like years ago, like for me, like my 100 level stuff that I was like learning. And I was listening to this podcast, and this woman, Jenna Zoe, was describing what I now know to be a manifesting generator. And
Mhm.
as she was saying all of the different characteristics of this type, I thought, I mean, I had my headphones in and I was like, oh, shit. Oh, wait, can I swear?
Oh, god, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit, this is me. This woman is talking about me." And that was the first time maybe in my life. I mean, it was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe now. The first time in my life that I was like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm actually okay. Like, I'm actually built to be the way that I am and to zig and zag and to be fast moving and to be very like, I mean, if you saw my actual chart, my body graph, it is really it's intense. I mean, I have a defined heart, I have a defined sacral. I have a wide open head, so I'm a huge dreamer. I have all of these power channels and like in individual channels, I have single definition. Like I'm really meant to like in a lot of ways go it alone and forge new paths and just change my mind all the time, pivot
Mhm,
and learn from everything I do. And I'd spent my whole life like really wondering like why can't I nail this down? Like why can't I just go work at the bank? Like why can't I
and be
like
boring.
or just be like, like I have friends from high school that have like, they graduated from high school, they went to college, they met a man, they got married, they work at the same job. They're perfectly happy doing that. Like they're happy. And they're like, "Oh, I've got 18 years in at the," and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not doing that." Like that
Mm-mm.
literally the idea of that even saying it just made me feel sweaty. Like I gotta not do that. So I spent this my whole young life trying to like really retrofit myself into a lifestyle that I could not sustain. And because I am a manifesting generator, I would be pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, "Oh, this is literally grinding my gears. Like, I hate this so much, and I can't get out of it, and I don't know what to do." So, that really, like, learning about that, listening to that one initial podcast just sent me down a rabbit hole of self-discovery, and then I just was like, "Oh, I have to know everything about everybody. I need to know everything about everybody ever." And then I did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Open head. So, how do you not get in that position of not only being super inspired, but also overthinking with the open head?
I use my strategy and authority.
You're
Yes.
good.
Every day, all day. I mean, it's like a training it was a training process, and I mean, and I still mess it up sometimes, but that's okay. You just go back and you use your strategy and authority the next time. But I really practice. I listen once I figured out like, "Oh, this is a mechanical system that I can use to move through the world," it took all the pressure off of
Mm.
my open head. My open head was just under pressure all the time. I would just suffer from analysis paralysis, like, I couldn't do anything. Do you have a undefined or
Oh,
completely open?
oh, I think it's undefined.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes it a little more tricky sometimes because you might have one gate that's, like, hanging around there,
Mhm.
and maybe your partner plugs into it or somebody at work plugs into it, and they're like, "Oh, doubt, mystery," like, there's stuff that's going on. Mine is wide open, so it's just, like, kind of a little antenna on the top of my head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So wild. So cool though to hear even how you are leveraging it, but also that it took one podcast to hear one thing to spark you to, 1, know yourself better, and then 2, become part of your career,
Yeah, I
part
know.
of
It's
your passion.
part of my passion. And, it's funny, like I have so many passions and interests and different modalities that I use, but I will tell, and I will stand by this forever, even though sometimes human design can feel a little like stodgy or heady, like there's a lot of heavy words. I don't care about any of that. If you know your human design, that's like everything can change for you. So I say that. I'm like, "Fine, do all of these other things, but first human design. Get your subway system, figure out your map. Where are you going?" Or how I guess human design is more like how you get there, and
Mhm.
then add in all the other stuff. But then if you're using your strategy and authority to make your decisions, if that's all you do is use your strategy and authority to make decisions, like you don't need to know any of that other language. You don't need any of the other nuance. You will improve your life 50%, you know,
Yeah.
just by knowing
That's
that.
pretty major though.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Changes everything. Changes
Yeah.
how I raise my kids, how I talk to my friends, how I do business,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it gives you I now I'm excited. It gives you like this sense of you know yourself, you understand yourself so you can have compassion for yourself.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
huge. People don't
Yes.
have self-compassion, and we need
No.
it. We really need it.
Yes. I actually for Christmas, gosh, now I think it's a few years ago, got John, my husband, and myself the when Jazz was doing the soul maps. She's back
Mhm.
to doing them again, I think. When she was doing the soul maps, I got them for both of us for Christmas, and even he has given his soul map to his therapist even.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it is, like, one of those things that can give you so much information,
Mhm.
and I have had other readings before, but I knew for him, like, that would be a great like, the amount of detail that was in that would be something he would really like, but, you know, you don't have to get something like that. You can just have a reading, or you could even just get the basic thing off the internet that tells you, "This is your authority and this is your thing," and read a little bit about it. But
Yeah.
I've always told my clients, like, if I gift them something or tell them about it, I tell them, like, they could go down a rabbit hole and not to go down the rabbit hole and just, like, hold
Yeah.
tight without going too crazy because it can
Mhm.
be overwhelming.
For sure, for sure. I find with traditional human design or certain practitioners, it can feel negative. Like,
Yes.
you could feel like, "Oh," like, the way I felt was very uplifted, and to Jenna Zoe's credit, she is very positive.
Mm,
Her messaging is very much like, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Everything is okay. This is just how you're built. There's no bad types.
yeah.
There's no type that's hierarchically getting a better deal than someone else," or,
Mhm.
it's just like we're all meant to be here in our own auras and then work with other auras, and we
Mhm.
can't all do the same thing. So it's like, okay, here are your gifts, here are your gifts and talents. Let's put them all together and like make this wheel turn.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love it. I think
Yeah.
it's
Just
great for families.
yeah, and understanding yourself and understanding, especially I feel like, oh, they're every design, but right, like manifesting generator, if you have multiple passions, oh my gosh, like in traditional way of going to school and doing the world, you will feel like a failure all the time if you
Mhm.
can't pivot on a
Mhm.
regular basis and
Right.
do the different things you love. Or even me, I'm a generator, but like if I try to follow somebody else's thing and I'm not listening to what is actually exciting to me or connecting to the invitation of what excites me, then like I'm going to be miserable.
Yeah. And there's nothing worse than a miserable generator.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys can really be grumpy when you're
Yeah.
miserable. Unfortunately, like, have the resolve to stay grumpy for a long time,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm just gonna keep on trucking along." For me, when I was younger, when I was a child, my mom is also a manifesting generator, and my brother is a fully defined manifesting generator, so he has 9 centers defined, and my mom has 8 centers defined. And my mother is a Virgo, and she never let me if I started something, I had to finish it. So that meant I started playing the bass when I was in 4th grade, and had to play it until I graduated from high school. So what ended up happening with me is I was so afraid to try something and not like it or wanna quit that I stopped trying things. I didn't do anything.
Right.
I would just go, "Oh, I don't wanna get involved in this," and then I'm not sure how long I wanna do it, and I know she's gonna make me continue it, so I would just say, "No, thanks, I'll pass." And that's
Right.
really for an MG kid, that's, like, the opposite of what should be happening.
Yeah. They should
Mhm.
actually just, "Okay, you're done. Go on to the next thing and find that
Right.
next thing that sparks you."
Yeah, and I've had to learn that sometimes there needs to be a deepening of my interest, like, because as an MG, your interest can be piqued, and you can be like, "Oh, I really like this," and then when the, like, little, like, glitter wears off, you go, "Oh, I'm bored of that, and I wanna move on, move on, move on."
Mm,
But what I now do, the more I get to know myself, is that I say, "Okay, is my energy really gone, or do I just need to deepen my interest?" Go in a little bit further and see, okay, well, what's the next level of this thing? And so that's what I've done with human design in terms of my business, because there's definitely times when I'm like, oh, I think I'm over this, and I'm like,
mm.
well, am I really over it? Or do I just need to find another aspect of it? So my business model has kind of just evolved this whole time. Yeah. So it's kind of working out.
That's amazing. But I think that also speaks to passion, and it also
Mhm.
speaks to how you can allow your passion to evolve with your life.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really interesting way of looking at it that I wouldn't have thought about before, and I really appreciate that. So, my other question to you is, and I think we've kind of touched on this, and I have to look down at my all my questions because I'm like, wait, I wrote so many questions. And I think I've shared this, and I've probably shared this before. I will share this again for anyone who might be new. Before an interview, I always actually meditate and tap into what the questions are going to be for each person. So I write them all down, and they're still also relatively fresh for me as well. So, how do you, or how did you even, even if you think about the past, follow your passions, like, and maybe actually let's talk about it from now, from like the current phase now where you are in life, because there's a lot of different changes that have happened with your new job. How are you following your passions now?
Wow, that's a good one. Let's see. So, a couple of years ago, I think 2 years ago, it'll be 2 years in March, I had a really big, relationship end, and I realized at that point that I felt like there was something in me, something artistic in me, and I'd never made art before. I'd never created really anything. I'm, like, crafty or whatever, as a parent or work with the kids and do things, but never just said, I wanna create." So, I somehow scored this really sweet art studio and began a process of like, I'm just going to learn how to make things. And it's very rudimentary, like it's very abstract. I do a lot of collage work and mixed media work and like making things, not really for others. Like I don't make
Mhm,
them to do anything with them. And I really could just paint over a painting and start over when I'm feeling like I don't want to spend any more money. Like I'll be
mhm,
like,
mhm,
I'll just start over here. But I need to create to release things from my body. So
mm,
basically for me, painting, making a huge collage mess, like doing a mixed media project is a way for me to get whatever is inside of me out. So then I can do whatever I need to do next. So sometimes I just, I'm like, I just need to paint for 15 minutes. I just need to do this. And then I can decompress and go back to what I was doing. So it's kind of like painting and creating is one of my like almost like a brain break for me. Making art is a passion for sure.
I love that. And it
Yeah.
just really came to be a couple years ago.
Yeah. I never did it before. Okay. So I have a habit, and I don't know if anyone else does this, but I have this incredible habit of kind of being like, I'll marry someone or date someone who is extremely talented and in myriad ways, or is this like great musician or is really good at this one thing, and then I'm just kind of like I'm like artist adjacent. I never really thought I could do anything,
Mm,
but I like the vibe and I like the aesthetic and I like the, like I like all of it. Like, oh, make me a dresser. Thank you. All of the ideas are mine. I just give them to this relationship to be executed. So when that relationship ended, I thought, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I putting all of my creativity or creative energy into somebody else to like then do something for me? I think that if these people have these talents and gifts, that maybe I also could
mm,
own some skills
mhm.
myself.
'Cause you
So
do. 'Cause you do.
do, yeah, I do.
Mhm.
And I just signed up for, I don't know if this is a passion yet, but I just signed up for vocal lessons.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little
So
terrified.
fun.
So scary. I don't know. It's gonna be freaking crazy.
It's
But
great.
yeah, I think it'll be fun. I'm terrified. And I just got new strings for my guitar. So I'm just 2023. I'm just getting artsy,
I
artsy and
love it.
fartsy. Yeah.
It's just another way of expressing yourself and
Mhm.
seeing how energy moves through you, and, maybe it's just something that you do for you. Maybe it becomes something that is part of your work. Who knows, you
Who
know?
knows? Yeah. That's how I feel. Like I feel very called towards music right now. And I
Mhm.
feel very called towards creating. And I
Yeah.
don't know really what that's gonna like look like. I could do all this stuff and then a year from now be like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like whatever.
Mhm.
But I think you never really know until you just give something a whirl.
No, and I'm a very strong believer that our passions are our purpose, and that doesn't mean that we have to get paid for them, you know?
Correct. Right.
And they support us still in doing what we do. So if you start singing and it unlocks something else, that then unlocks something else that
Yes.
supports something that you do in your business, then oh my goodness, that's perfect. Or that unlocks something else that brings you clarity with your kids, or
Mhm.
that who knows, right?
I'm reading this book right now. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called The Artist's Way
Oh yeah.
by
Hmm.
yeah, by
Hmm.
Julia Cameron.
Hmm.
And so I'm only on like I think I'm on week 2. I just started at the new
Yeah.
year.
Very good.
So it's really good. And what she talks a lot about in there is that like we really box ourselves in by saying like, "Oh, I don't already have that talent. I'm not
Hmm.
naturally good at this thing."
Hmm.
And and I look around at people and I think, I mean, yeah, great. There's some naturally talented people, but most of the people that are out there doing things, they worked hard to figure out how to do them. They wanted to do them. The desire to do them was more than the talent.
Yeah. Hmm.
The originally, like when they started, and then they cultivated the talent through practice and through not necessarily always hard work, but through working, and they got better and better. Or maybe they didn't, but they still just really enjoyed their time.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Because I mean, we know there's some singers out in the world who are making a lot of honey who are auto tune.
Right. And there's also like so many interesting voices out there, look at the Bob
Yeah.
Dylans of the world. I mean, you're like, okay, well, that's not like a gorgeous voice, but it's so interesting and I'm compelled to listen to it. I want to listen to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think you're never going to be worse off. I mean, honestly, like what else are we doing? I'm 46 years old. What else am I doing? Better learn how to sing, make some art,
You live
enjoy my
your,
life.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like, what are we here for? To live our purpose. That is
Right.
literally why we're here.
Yeah.
And why not start doing it now? Why wait?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, you know?
Think yeah, I think it's time. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, today I went and got my guitar strings and I thought, "What in the world am I doing?" And the
That
woman
makes
was
sense.
hilarious. She's like, "Okay, well, what kind of guitar do you have?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "Well, is it an acoustic?" I said, "Yes, it is. It doesn't plug in." And she said, "Okay, well, what kind of strings do you need?" I said, "I don't know. I need your help. I'm going to need your assistance. I don't
You're
know what
like,
I'm doing."
I need strings for the thing. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Bye
Please
bye.
help me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll
so
see.
funny.
I'll check back in and let you know how that goes.
I love it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. And I can see it leading to something. I can definitely
Yeah.
see it leading to something. I am interrupting just for a moment to share with you the free resource that I have for you this season. If you are new to the Life Activated podcast, then I want you to know that every season I have an intention of sharing with you a free resource that is to support you in deepening with the theme of every season. So season 1 was all about reflection, and there is a free meditation available to you to download. You can find that out in the show notes in season 1. You can also find that on Maury Roberts' Life under the podcast section. You'll be able to find that and download that. Feel free. This season, the free resource is an energy healing session. And the energy healing session came about because of you. I went on Instagram, I asked, you voted, and you said you wanted an energy healing session. So this season, as you know, is all about alignment. So the theme around the energy healing is just that, just about alignment. And it is a short and sweet session, but it is definitely powerful. I'll invite you to ensure that you're in a place where you're comfortable and cozy. Don't be driving, trying to listen to this. Be comfortable, be cozy. If you can, lie down, be seated somewhere. Make sure you have some water or tea, grab a pen and a notebook so that you can take notes after the session for any downloads, messages, just anything that may have come up for you that you want to take note on or journal about, or even draw if you are an artist or a doodle type of person. And I do hope that this energy healing session supports you, gives you clarity and insight, helps you to release what is not serving you in this moment. Whenever it is that you are listening to it, know that you can come back to it at any point whenever you need it. Let me know what you think, how it supports you. I always want to hear from you. Know that it is giving you what it is that you are seeking and needing. And if you feel like it was everything you needed and more, great. If you feel like you would love to go deeper, this is just a great taste of what it's like to work with me, and you want to see what it's like to work further in partnership, reach out. We can talk about what that could look like for you. I'd love to support you. All right. Go to the show notes, download the energy healing. Let me know how it goes. Enjoy the rest of this podcast. Talk to you soon. So, speaking of your kids, how do you feel you are role modeling in terms of, and maybe you feel like you're not. I've had other people on who are parents who feel like sometimes their kids are the role model, but role modeling to them living their passions, living your passions, right? Like,
Mhm.
how do you do that? I have no kids, right? So I think it's an important sometimes conversation, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tricky because children, my daughters are they're very individual. They're not like me at all. One is I have a generator, a projector, and a manifester, and I'm an MG. So we have 4 types in our house. I think I lead by example in terms of like just doing shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, there's my mom. Like, well, they helped me shave, like buzz my hair. They're in on the wild things. Well, I don't know if they think they're wild, but sometimes I think I can be pretty wild. And they are fully present for that. And they are so supportive of me. And I see them wholly as themselves. One thing I've always tried to do is I don't see my children as an extension of me in any way, which is really challenging. It is not easy to do because sometimes I'm like, I have a lot of energy and I'm like, let's go. And my little non-state girls are, like, no, I need to sleep, sleeping till
Mm-hmm.
noon. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing today. So I just try to really see them. And then when they're having issues or whatever, I try to just always be empathetic and put myself in their spaces so that they
Mm-hmm.
can see like, oh, this is how we can get through this. Things can be hard, but we can talk our way through it. We can figure it out. We can resolve our conflicts. And then you can always make a different choice. That's basically the mantra of our house. Choose again. It works for most things in life, short of
Yeah.
like getting a face tattoo. Nothing is really that permanent, or having a child or something. But
Yeah.
when you're a kid, you can choose again. You can do it different. You can do it better. You could do it worse. We don't know how it's going to go, but you're not stuck. And I think I show them that regularly. Like life is not static. Life is dynamic and
Mm-hmm.
it's happening. And like you can jump in or you can jump out
Yeah.
at your
Yeah.
leisure. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
it's not
that's
easy.
great.
Not easy.
I think that's great. And I think that is a really good reminder. Again, I don't have children, but that reminder of you are not living through your children. You are not trying to be your children. You are allowing them to actually be who they are and to experience their lives. And just you being you is enough.
I think, that just gave me goosebumps. I think that that is the truth, at least for us. Like, I think that the more I can be myself and the more layers that I pull off, and I'm very honest with them. I mean, within parameters, they don't know all
Yeah.
of my business,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they do know the ups and downs in my life, and
Mm.
they are aware, like, if I'm going through something or if I'm struggling with something, because parents do a disservice to their children by protecting them from hard things,
Yes.
Sometimes we're
Yes.
upset, sometimes we're sad, we go through hard relationships, and you don't wanna get to be 20 years old and not have ever seen anybody go through anything, and then you
Yeah.
go through something and you go, "What's wrong with me? My mom could always handle everything, and I can't do it." So, I like to keep things real.
I love that. I think
Yeah,
that's really important. You said something I was just totally like had a light bulb, My mom and I have had these conversations before, and I don't want to be my mom's best friend, and my mom doesn't want to be my best friend. We want to maintain a mother-daughter relationship where there
right.
is still like love and respect, but there's still like openness and honesty. Like I have some friends I know that have spilled the beans to the nth degree about things that I'm like, your mom needs to know all that stuff. And if I was a parent, I would say the same thing. Like, I don't
Yeah,
need my kid to know all that stuff because,
yeah,
again, there's still elements of there's
yeah.
parameters
There's
of
parameters, yeah.
that.
And I don't know how I'll be when they're older, like, when they're adult people. I don't know. I mean, they already are like, "Mom." Yeah, they already think I'm wild and crazy. So,
Yeah.
I'll probably be, like, up in their business when they're adults because I can't help it. Yeah, I can't help it. Like, when I talk to them and we're all 4 just sitting around shooting the shit, I'm like a teenager with them. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, tell me about that, and who did this, and what's going on?" I want to know all of it.
So funny.
It's
So
funny, it's
funny.
so funny.
So
But I
funny.
know they don't tell me everything because they know that
Yeah,
I'm also like, no, now you can't hang out with that person."
exactly. There are, again, parameters. My mom did not need to know everything that I did in college.
Mm-mm.
My mom does not need to know everything that I did in my adult life
No, ma'am,
either.
and honestly, like, I don't want to know because then I'll start to worry and, like, I'll have too many
Exactly.
opinions, like, mind your business.
Exactly, but
Stay in your lane.
also, she still needs to know things, and we still have an
Mhm.
open relationship, but I still feel safe and comfortable.
My mom always probably told me way too many things, and it kinda parentified me as a child, and I did not
Mm,
like that. I did
mm,
not want that. Like, it burdened me. But I was like
right,
like, I was a
interesting.
serious, deep kid. Like, I was like, "Oh gosh, this is like,"
Too much info.
and so I don't want to do that to them. Like, they're kids,
Yeah,
and they should just get to live their little kid lives and not
mhm,
be too worried, but also like, "Okay, here's real life, some real life."
exactly, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
and it is important for them to know real life, and I think also remembering too that kids are aware. I
Well, they're
mean
so smart. I mean, when I was going through that breakup situation I mentioned earlier, I was so upset and sad. There was no way I'm like, crying on the bathroom floor. And if I couldn't just say, "No, I'm fine." And then the
yeah,
kids would be like, "Is she crazy?" Like, "She's not fine." They're like, "You're being dishonest." And now it's like, "Can I trust you? Like, am I safe
right,
here?" Like, there's a whole
yes,
thing that happens when you do that. So
yes,
it's like
it's
the
true.
parents who stay together for their kids, and then their kids turn 18 and then they get a divorce and the kids are like, "We didn't even know there was a problem. This is
Yeah.
very strange."
Yeah,
So,
it's
yeah,
so true. Yeah,
you have to
or
divulge.
the reverse of the parents who stayed together for their kids, and the kids knew there were a problem, and they were, like, so pissed off and frustrated because they didn't
Yeah,
understand why their parents were staying together when they knew that their
right.
parents weren't supposed to be together,
Well, that's like a
right?
whole ball of blame too, like, or
Yeah,
guilt, like, "You stayed
ex
together miserable for me, and you made me miserable too."
yeah.
So,
Back to talking about your intuition, your energy centers, being a manifesting generator, how do you listen to those whispers and know or feel when it's time to make a pivot or a change? Like, what
mm,
kinda guides you there?
I have a defined spleen as well. So, there's a gate in human design called gate 57, intuition. So, I have that defined. I am very, very intuitive naturally.
Mhm,
I do not always listen. I
mhm,
can
I
be
understand
a
that.
little bit ding-dongy sometimes when I would like to just keep on doing what I'm doing and not
Mhm,
pay attention to my guidance system.
mhm,
Generally, that fails for me. Right. And so generally, like, I try to listen. I feel like I'm tapped into my intuition very regularly. I am very clairsentient, I guess is the
mhm,
word. My body is very like sometimes like even during the like when you're pulling the card, I could feel you. I can
mhm.
feel like I'm like, oh, I'm like pulled to this. So I try to listen to my body. I try to use my strategy and authority as much as humanly possible. And I find that when I don't listen and when I know it's time to pivot and I'm not doing it, usually I get sick or I slip in the shower and hit my head, or like something will happen. And then I go, oh, okay, I'm listening. It's time for me to do the thing because the repercussions of not listening are usually, it's
Pretty
terrible.
big. Yeah.
It's cataclysmic. So, I need to listen. Yeah.
That's wild. Oh my goodness.
I don't know if that happens to other people.
I'm sure it does actually.
Yeah, I'm very, very empathic. Like,
Mhm.
I pick up the energy in the room. I know I can almost, like, sometimes be, like, thinking of I can hear what someone else is thinking before they say it, and then
Mhm.
I'll go, "What did you say?" And they're like, "What? Nothing. I didn't say anything yet," and I, like,
Mhm.
know what's going on. And for a long time, I was really, really invested in that story, that narrative of me being an empath and being super sensitive. Like I'd walk into rooms and like the light bulb would blow out, stuff like that. It was a lot of energy that I did not have a very good handle on.
Mm.
But then I realized that was not serving me. So I started to look at my empathy instead of as a weakness or like as something that where someone was going to victimize me. I decided I would use it as to be like, oh, this is actually the most powerful thing. It's the most powerful gift. And I am in charge of it. I harness it and I
Yes.
don't let people in. If I don't want them in, I'm in charge of my energy all the time. So
Yes.
now that I do that, I don't really have, slip and falls and
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you just said is true, right? Like, the reality is you are always in control of your
Mhm.
energy. You are always in control of the situation. So, it is a matter of taking sort of ownership of your energy and saying like, "No, I have the power. It is mine, and I am not a victim to it. It's
It
me
works
who
for me.
feels it."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It works for me,
Yeah.
and it really does, and since I mean, I think I changed my mind about that a few years ago, and everything changed. Everybody's putting all their stuff on me all the time, wanting to, like,
Mm.
emotionally dump on me or I'm tired, I'm exhausted, like, whatever, like, you could read on the internet all day about being an empath, and then I just was like, "I'm not doing that anymore, like, I'm not a victim. This is excellent. It's great to be this
Yeah.
sensitive. It's
Yeah.
wonderful, and I don't actually always have to be I can turn it off when I need to.
Yeah, it's like me being
Mhm.
psychic, like, if I walked around and was, like, reading people 24/7, it would be
Too much.
yeah, I don't have
Yeah,
time for that.
your circuits would be fried. Yeah, there's no way you could do it.
Oh, no, I cannot do that. I remember one time years ago, I had someone, like, basically who was also psychic read me, and I didn't ask for it, and I remember talking to my friend about it because I thought I had a problem. I thought, like, "Oh my god." Like, she just, like, was reading me and, like, "Do I have a problem? Like, how come I can't do that?" And my friend's like, "No, honey, you have discernment and you know when you're supposed to be doing it. That person has no control over their stuff yet. But
Yeah.
that's the thing." I'm like, "Oh, okay, thanks, good, thank you." I thought I was, like, not, like, hip and, like, with it, and
With it.
really was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You turn it on when you need to turn it on. You use it when you need to use it. You don't just walk around with it on 24/7 like, "Boop, boop, 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 I'm gonna read you and you and you and you."
No, I don't know why you'd want to.
No, God, no.
Although I did do that with everyone's human design. I was like, "What's your birth time? I need to know." I was nuts.
But you
But
were just, like, hardcore passionate about it.
yeah, I was not espousing information without them asking me for it.
Yeah.
Like, so as a psychic, who are your people? Like, do you have ancestors? Do you have guides? Do you talk to the dead folk?
I am not a medium. At least
Okay.
at least I don't have that turned on, I guess. When I was a younger person, before I knew I had gifts, I definitely saw beings, then that turned off and it hasn't turned back on because I saw Dracula. You remember ABC Disney movies? There used to
Mhm.
be an ABC Disney
Mhm.
movie that was Dracula that I didn't wanna watch, but my dad was like, "It's not gonna be scary, watch it," and watched it, and then that night I woke up and there I thought was Dracula on my bed, and from that night on, I slept with the light on and I never saw anything again, but I
Yeah.
used to wake up at our house in San Francisco, and I used to walk in between basically, I thought they were the Star Trek people, they used to protect my door, and
Aliens.
they looked like people, but they were I just call them the Star Trek people, and then they would protect I just heard, like, light council kind of people, and I used to think they were protecting my door and my parents' door, and then I realized just recently that they weren't protecting my parents' door, they were protecting me, so every door I walked through, they were there for the doors I was walking through.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So, possibly I turned that off way long time ago.
Yeah, I did too. I did not. I was like, listen, firstly, I like my sleep. Secondly, I don't like to be afraid. But for some
No.
reason, I've spoken to lots of light council folks, entities from different star systems, things like that. I'm not afraid of them at all, ever.
So funny.
I've never, yeah. Humans are weird though. I just feel like it's like there is the humanity of them.
Yeah.
They're not quite as like next level as different star systems or whatever. And so I was always just like, oh, this is like you're like annoying me. You're
That is
yeah,
hilarious.
you're annoying me and I'm not into it.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I haven't seen any people since I was little. I definitely see people, obviously when I sleep, and I
Mhm.
definitely, things are definitely happening when I sleep. I definitely go places and crazy wild stuff happens. And I don't actually talk in the clairs because I even get them confused, and I like to just
Yeah.
speak it in, see, hear, feel, and know. So
Mm.
see, hear, feel, and know. And from my other work, I do energy healing work too. And for my energy healing work, I do work with ancestral healing energy and quantum healing energy. And then I work with the stars and the suns and the moons and the galaxies. And I work with sequoias, which is totally wild.
Oh, I love sequoias.
Yeah, it's
I
totally
feel
wild.
so drawn to those trees and I've never gone to see them.
You do. You do. I went to see them when my cousins came to visit years ago when I still lived in California. And I just remember and I know I had seen them before, but this was, right around the time, like, things were slowly starting to my gifts were starting to really start to come back to me, I guess,
Mhm.
and I remember going in there, and I just got overwhelmed, and I just, wanted just, tears, it was just, so overwhelming, and then I was in a breathwork session where I was being trained to do energy healing and breath work, and in the training, the sequoias were like, "We wanna work with you. We're here to help you." I'm like, "Oh, alright.
I think we'll do that.
Sounds good. Okay."
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I would love a sequoia to tell me that.
They support in, the grounding piece, because
Mhm.
what's cool about sequoias is, they make family circles. So, they make semicircle, half circles, and they support
Mhm.
each other.
I love that.
So, they help each other, and then they don't have a tap root, they have long extending
Yeah.
roots. So, if you are looking to be grounded and supported, right, if you're imagining that because usually people are thinking and you're doing this, right, you're creating those roots that are long, deep down into the ground, but if you're needing more stability and support, you can sometimes even call them in to support you and intertwine your roots with their roots. They can surround you and support you in that way of staying extra, sort of grounded and stable.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful. That's so beautiful.
yeah, it's pretty wild. Just went on a whole tangent on,
We did. We're
yeah,
tangenting. That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I go to hypnotherapy a lot, and so I'll do future lives and higher selves and different star seeds. And last time I was there, though, and this was so wild, my hypnotherapist does a lot of work with Egypt and like the Egyptian stuff, ancient Egypt. And so, and I don't know anything about ancient Egypt at all, except for that on two separate occasions, I've had Egyptian gods come to me. One time I had Anubis, the god of
yeah,
the underworld, the big dog face, the jackal
yeah.
head or whatever. I
He's
was laying on the
amazing.
I know, and I was laying on the couch meditating. I did this thing where I, like, meditated every day for a year, one day, Anubis, I was meditating, like right here, like in my face. And I was like, I think I am, maybe I'm afraid. I'm not sure what's
No,
going
don't
on
be
here.
afraid. Yeah.
It was wild. And then another time I had this really bad fever and I was sick. I ended up having like a kidney infection or something random. And I was in my bed and I had this really high fever. And I'd gone to the doctor that day and gotten my medicine. So it was like, okay, I know I'm gonna feel better. And I was laying in my bed alone. And all of a sudden I like turned my head and I saw a man's face. And he was beautiful, but he had like like an eagle face, half eagle.
Mhm.
And he took his wings, he opened them up, and he just went he said, "Don't worry, everything's gonna be fine," and swooped me under both of his wings, and when I woke up, like, a few hours later, like, my bed was, like, drenched with sweat, and I was totally fine.
So cool.
It was wild. Yeah, that
So
was really cool.
cool.
Those are my Egyptian run-ins, and she just asked me if I could during my session, if I could talk to because I channel a lot when I'm there, and so she wanted me to channel the Sphinx. And I could feel it. I was like, "Okay." She was talking to my higher self, and I could feel myself getting, like, lined up, like, energetically lined up, and it was so overwhelming. So there's no she was like, "Okay, I have a question," and I was like, "Nope, like, this vessel
It's
cannot
too
handle
much.
this. It's too
Yeah.
much." Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, maybe the move is that if you're gonna channel things like that, you have to build a relationship beforehand."
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's
I
kind of
think
like, even with our tarot cards and things like that, like, you can't just be like, "Oh, here's my cards. I haven't touched them in a year," and expect them you have to always have that relationship.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And just like with cards, like, sometimes you get a deck and you're like, it doesn't work. Yeah. I've given a deck
Mhm.
away that I was like, this deck is not working for me. It's just
Mhm.
like I wanted it so bad because it had butterflies and it made me think of my friend Heather who had passed away. And I was like, I
Mhm.
just wanted this deck to be such a great representation, but it just didn't work. I was like, this deck isn't for me. It's for
Yeah.
somebody else. So
Yeah.
I gave it away.
Adios.
There's so many things we could talk about. Oh my gosh. Okay. Keep it on track. We have just a few more questions. I know everyone's going to be like, oh my goodness, these ladies, they're
You're
so
chatty.
wild.
I
Hey, there's
love
so
it.
much in here, though. It's so good. So good.
Yeah.
So, my other question for you is speaking of the whole theme of this entire friggin' season is alignment. I'm finally getting to my actual alignment question. When you're in alignment, what does it feel like? And when you're out of alignment, what does it feel like?
Mm. When I'm in alignment, I don't notice it really.
Mm,
It's like it's just everything's happening, everything's flowing, everything feels like a song, butterflies, bluebirds, everything's great. Yeah, it's really nice. I think that's a generator type move, right?
mhm.
Like if we're just responding to life and we're just like, yes, 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 no, yes. And we do that, it's like everything just actually feels so easy. That's like the greatness of being a generator and the plight of being a generator because you don't really you're not really paying attention when things are great. It's like writing in your journal. But when things are out of alignment, for me, it's really bad. Everybody suffers. It's bad.
That's how you
It's
know people are
that's how
starting
we
to suffer?
know. Listen, yeah, like, it kind of just all rolls downhill, and I think that I have deep resilience, and I think I have a great capacity to deal with adversity and to kind of figure it out and figure it out and figure it out. But what I don't have a great capacity for is a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
So when something starts to feel like, okay, this thing is encroaching me or engulfing me, the feeling that I get inside my body is that I'm caged, that I'm stuck. And I'm like, I can't go right. I can't go left. I don't know what to do. And then the wildness, it's like, I got to get out of here. So yeah, that's usually what happens. And it's usually I stay a little bit too long generally, 'cause I
Mhm.
have that great resilience to adversity. I'm like, "Oh, it's fine. Everything's great. Everything's it's no big deal. We'll fix it." And then all of a sudden, I'm like, "This is not working for me."
It's like,
Yeah, and I
mhm.
used to, blow up and go crazy, yeah, when I was young and like, this is too much like for a job or whatever. But now I've started to realize the signs like, okay, I've realized that I don't have the energy for this anymore. I'm out of alignment. And what I do now is I just kind of loosen the bolts. I
Mm,
like as I'm like making, I keep it and like keep the train on the track, loosen the bolts, until
mhm.
I can make a peaceful departure and it can be a win-win.
Yeah, yeah,
I like a win-win better than a blow up.
yeah, yeah. My dad, who's passed away, I'll never forget once I was talking to him about something,
Mm.
and I was saying something about my job, and at this time, I was actually fine at my job, but he was like, "Uh-oh, princess, are you getting ready to leave your job?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I can always tell when you're getting ready to leave your job. I can always tell when you're done with your job,
Yeah.
just by the things that you start to say." And my dad was like, not the kind of guy who I would think notice certain things, because my
Mhm.
dad was very stubborn, very stuck in his ways. My dad did not know how to use a computer, barely knew how to use a cell phone, but every once in a while, he would surprise you with things. And so he definitely saw a pattern that even I didn't even notice, but he
Mhm.
could tell, like, she's about done
She's
with that.
done.
She's
Yeah.
about done. She's
Yeah.
about done. She's gonna be telling me she's looking for a new job, or soon she's gonna be telling me
Yeah.
she got a new job. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's really interesting, and I'm a little bit like that, like, I have a few tells, I think.
Mhm.
Generally, if I feel cagey or constricted and there's no talking about it anymore,
Mm,
like, we've exhausted the conversations, then I'm like, "Okay, well, now it's time for me to, like, figure out a way out of this."
mm,
But
yeah.
strange things will happen. I mean, I have physical responses to that energy being gone. I had one job once, I worked in a real estate office, very high in real estate office. It just was not for me. It was very inauthentic. You had to be very quiet. You had to dress a certain way. They were always trying to make me wear a neck scarf. I don't know. And it was not for me. Like I
No.
hated it. And I swear to you that I had laryngitis for like 2 months. It was like literally I would walk in the door and I could feel my throat chakra just, just
Close.
like tight. And I would start to talk and like no noise would come out. I said, "Oh," like, literally, I was having, like, a physical manifestation of how I felt inside.
Yeah.
So, I've learned to look for those cues earlier now, and I've learned to stop being such a pleaser. When I'm pleasing, when I'm doing, like, a little dance to, I'm just keeping everything smooth and together, that's usually when it's time for me to go.
Mhm. Peace
Yeah.
out. Gotta
Yeah.
go. I'm starting to
Yeah.
make everybody else happy but myself.
Right. I'm not
Mhm.
here for myself. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. What brings you back to yourself, to your center?
I think a change of state, usually. A change of state. I can get back on track really quickly these days. And so I have a little list and it's like, check in with my physical stuff. Like, am I tired? Am I thirsty? Do I need to sleep? What do I need? And then it's like, okay, work out, make some art, have some sex, drink a glass of wine. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But like, it's intentional. Like, what is
Yeah.
it that is going to like sort this out? And sometimes it's just like, that cagey feeling is just lingering or trapped inside of me, and there needs to be, like, a physical like, I need to sweat it out.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
if I could, like, just have a big dance party or go to the gym, and sometimes, it doesn't work and I just yell at people, I
That's
yell.
fair.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
that's a very manifesting generator thing. We have anger. We blow our top and then because it's just like the physical stuff, like, has to get out of us. I
Mhm.
think too, for manifesting generators, we don't like people to get in our way, to circumvent us. And that could be physically or like, oh, I'm just hitting all these roadblocks. I know the way. I want to move quickly. I want to get it done. And so I've had to learn, especially with children and working with, lots and lots of different kinds of people, that not everybody moves as quickly as I do. And they're not intentionally trying to get in my way. And so
Yeah.
once I kind of establish that, like, oh, you're a projector. Okay. You've got notes. Like, you need to talk to me about this because that's how your energy works. You are seeing things and I'm just zooming around, like, catch me if you can. And so I think once I learned that everybody is operating with their own energy, with their own aura, and they're not trying to stop me from what I need to accomplish. They just need to say things. So I don't get that mad anymore. I think it's cute now.
I love it. I love it. What is one thing that you would say to someone that
Mm.
would support them in following their passions?
Well, I would say first to just start doing some self investigation because I think, and it's my opinion that people don't know what their passions are. They just don't know. They have no idea. They haven't tried enough things. And so sometimes people will say, when I work with them, they'll say, "Well, I just don't know. I don't know what I want to do." And then they sit there. They don't try anything. They think that the idea about a passion is just going to pop into their head and then they're going to go, "Okay, that is something I'm passionate about." And I would argue that you need to go and
Mm,
try and
mhm.
do it. Or depending on your type or depending on like what your strategy and authority are, follow that. But also, if you try one thing and it's not your passion, that doesn't mean that now you have no passions. It
Yeah,
just means try again and
yeah.
try again and try again until you find the thing that really ignites you. And then once you do that for a while, if it suddenly isn't igniting you anymore, try again.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to just have the same passion. Some people don't have the same passions for their whole life. They have 100 passions,
Yeah, yeah, and I do
and
think
that's
that
okay.
your passions change over time, and I would even suggest truly that everyone deep down knows what their passions are, and sometimes it's about connecting to your heart, which
Mhm.
can be scary, and, like, if you actually connect to your heart and listen to what your heart is telling you, it may tell you something that feels scary or that you may be afraid to hear, you know?
It's
So
true. Yeah.
yeah, so you may have to go do the thing, but you may actually already just have it right within you,
You might.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I do think also that my biggest advice is to stop shoulding all over yourself
Yeah.
because so
Oh
many
god.
people think, "Oh, I should like this," or "I should wanna do
No.
this." Well, guess what? If you don't, like, if you bought a yoga ball and a yoga mat and it sits in the corner of your room collecting dust, and every day you look at it and go, "I really should do yoga." No, you shouldn't. I don't think you like yoga. Maybe you should go for a run.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's something else, and it's
Yeah.
okay to just take those things off your list of things, like, maybe you're never learning French, and, like, that's okay.
Totally.
You don't have to.
Nope.
It, like, bogs you down to, like, keep all that
Let
energy
it go.
around. Yeah, just, like yeah,
Let it go.
reflect and release it, and
Let
then,
it go.
yeah, make space for what's for you.
Last question for real this time, I swear, which is I'm the worst. I was like, "Oh, one more." Something I've been asking everyone, which is celebrating yourself. How do you celebrate yourself?
That's a really good question because I don't think I'm naturally good at that.
Uh,
I'm not particularly self-deprecating, like, I'm definitely not hard on myself. I give myself a lot of credit. I cut myself a lot of slack, like,
yeah.
I'm very like, "Okay, I'm just over here happy being a human, like, no big deal." I don't really, like, gas myself up very much. I just yeah. So I don't really know how I celebrate myself. I like to give myself time. Yeah, I think time might be how I
Time is a
celebrate
good
myself.
celebration.
Yeah, I take time to do the things that bring me joy, and I don't feel guilty about that.
That's
Like,
huge.
I don't feel that, and I think I used to, like, I mean, my kids never had a babysitter till my oldest daughter was 7, and I was
Yeah.
so, like, it has to be like this, and I have to be the one, and I just don't do that anymore. I'm like, I'm not sending a Christmas card. I'm not doing any of those things that I thought I needed to do to, like, be a proper wife and mother and
Yeah.
whatever. And so now I just give myself the gift of time, and I appreciate it, and I, like, luxuriate in it.
I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
this amazingness today. It was so good. I know that everyone's going to absolutely love it. Our
I hope
tangents
so.
and all.
I
They're
know,
gonna
so
all
many
love it.
tangents. Sorry,
Yeah.
everybody.
It was good though. It was
I think
good.
so. I liked it.
I mean, seriously, so did I.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I liked it. You are literally just imagine this is you were in the DMs of the two of us right now, just us DMing back and forth,
Yeah,
but really
voice
just like voice
noting.
noting.
Voice noting.
We're totally voice noting
Welcome
all
to
these
our
different.
private voice notes. That's funny.
Totally. So tell everyone how they can find you.
You can always find me on Instagram at Love Jasmine Kenna. I don't even know if I have to say the at. My kids told me I don't need to say that anymore. It's
Mm,
just Love Jasmine Kenna, but
okay.
whatever. I'm old. And jasminekenna.com
I love it.
is my website.
I
Yeah.
love it.
And you can listen to my Each Other podcast as well on Apple Podcasts.
It's so good. Start at the beginning. Start at season 1. It's the best
I
podcast.
know. We're in our
I
5th
love
season
it.
this year.
I know.
So
I
that's
love
exciting.
it. I love it.
So much fun.
Quick tangent on that podcast. What I love about the podcast is it is the ensemble and that you guys are all talking about whatever topic you're talking about from your perspectives all being different. So you've got
Mhm.
the generator, manifesting generator. What is it? Generator, manifesting
Projector.
generator, and projector, right?
And yeah, and manifester. Yeah.
And manifestor. And
Yeah.
it's actually really funny because I always laugh because Vanessa is like such the manifester like boss. She's always like totally manifester, like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm the boss. Blah, 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 blah. It's
Oh, yeah.
hilarious, but
It's
I love
great.
it.
It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. She tries sometimes. She's like, "Oh, no, you guys go for it." I'm like, it's fine. You could just
yeah,
do it."
yeah. You could tell.
We love it.
You-
Like
Yeah,
we need manifestors to take the lead. That's what they're here for.
totally,
Give it to
totally.
us. Tell us
And
what to
but she
do.
does it so well, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's super funny because sometimes I can tell that she has the agenda of what she wants to like talk about, and then
Mhm.
sometimes you can tell that it's not. She's got a flow with it, and sometimes you can tell that she's like, I really want to talk about this. Like,
Yeah.
this is something I really want to get into this week.
Yeah.
It's
She's
really
gonna
great.
do it.
It's really great. Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely listen to that. And yes, definitely go and follow Jasmine and
Yeah.
go get her subliminals. You will love them. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Oh,
And
thank you for having me. I
oh
appreciate it.
my God. Until next time, everyone. Love you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that does it for this episode of the Life Activated podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Please do subscribe to the show, rank and review the podcast. 5-star reviews go a long way. Let me know that you've done so. Send me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram with a screenshot, and I will personally reach out to you to thank you. Send me a message letting me know what you think about the show, and definitely check out the show notes for additional resources to support you with this season.